Today I'm going to show you guys how to grow a beautiful tray of dill microgreens just like these. So stay tuned for the video. What's up everyone? Today we are in our grow space because we are going to be growing dill microgreens. Now this is one of my personal favorites because I do love how dill smells. It is awesome on salmon and probably one of my favorite ingredients to use in a lot of meals. So let's first get into what supplies we're gonna need for this grow. So here in front of me, I have 3 trays. There's a no-hold 1020 here on the bottom. Next, a slotted 1020 tray, which you can use a mesh tray if that's what you have, or if you want to, you can also use a single tray like this. And then our final tray is another no-hold 1020, and I like to use a darker tray so that way it blocks out light whenever we get to the blackout time. But that's enough about the trays. Let's move on to the next step. So next is our grow medium. Now you can use soil or you can use Coco Coir. It's really up to you. I'm going to be using Coco Coir today because that is one of my favorite grow mediums. So let's go ahead and begin putting that into our tray. For a 1020 tray, we like to use 6 cups of grow medium. We found this to be a perfect amount. Now that we have our grow medium into our tray, let's flatten this out a little bit. And remember, if you have any clumps, sticks, anything that's gonna get in the way, be sure to remove and break those down. Now that we have our grow medium into our tray, let's go ahead and get our seeds ready. So first, I'm going to turn on my scale. If you don't have a scale, it's perfectly fine because today I'm gonna show you how much we use by just using a little tablespoon measure. And for today's grow, we are gonna be using 2 tablespoons, which is roughly 10 grams. Now I don't want to use any more than this because as you can see in this cup, it is quite a bit. If I use too much more in this, it's going to congest this tray and that's going to restrict growth later on, and we do not want that. Ooh, this smells so good. I think dill, carrot, and fennel are some of the best smelling seeds that you can get. The aroma is so nice, makes me hungry. These seeds do stick to your hands just a little bit, just FYI. All right, so now that we have our seeds onto our tray, we need to water them. I'm gonna be using a hand pump sprayer with regular filtered tap water, and these are very light seeds, so they will blow everywhere if you're not careful. So start kind of far just to get it a little bit moistened first, that way they stick, and now it's okay to move in closer. And we're just gonna give it this last little pass there, and that should be perfect. So our final steps are to take our last no-hold 1020 tray. We're gonna place that on top just like this. And I am gonna be using 2 little bricks here, and we're gonna do one on one side and one on the other. That way the moisture gets trapped in there, and this helps the tray to germinate a lot more even. And that's basically it on that. I almost started rambling. So now we just need to take this tray, we're gonna put it over here onto our shelf. And I'm gonna come out later today, double check it, see if it needs more water, and I'm gonna continue to water it twice a day or as needed. And I will see you guys here in a couple days whenever these are germinated and we're ready to move on to the next step. So I'll see you guys then. It is day 3 of our dill grow, and I wanna see what the dill is with this tray. So let's go ahead and remove these weights and see if we have anything happening beneath this. Okay. So it looks pretty uneventful when you first look at it, but if you look pretty closely, we are starting to see that radicle come out of the seed, and it's trying to find its way into the medium at this point. So it tells us that these are beginning to germinate. Now, I am familiar with this type of seed where it does tend to mold depending on how moist the medium is. And just in case, I'm gonna go ahead and combat that with an H2O2 spray, which if you're curious, we mix that at 2 tablespoons per 1 liter of water. And we're just gonna give it a very light mist across all the seeds. And then I'm going to actually spray the bottom of this too because there are a lot of seeds here. And place it carefully back into the weight where it can continue to germinate. Now I will see you guys here in a few days with more updates. From this point forward, I'm gonna continue to water this twice a day or as needed. Probably gonna skip later today because it is still rather moist underneath there, but tomorrow I may pick back up on the 2 times a day. So I'll see you guys here in a few days. It is the morning of day 6 for our dill grow, and I'm going to pull this off the shelf and we will take a look. So first, let's remove those bricks carefully. And I'm just gonna pull this back. And this tray is fully germinated. Now, a lot of these are completely showing at this point. We got a lot of yellow going on, which tells me that the seed holes are removed, and we're starting to see them kind of bend down. And because they're bending down so much and we're getting all that yellow growth on it, I do not want to put this in weight for any longer. It's coming out of weight today. And with dill, it is a taller crop. We do not need to put this in blackout. If we put it in the blackout, it's gonna fall over. So all we have to do is just take it, put it directly into the light. So here we got 3 of the Barina 20-watt lights. We love these lights. They do a great job. That's why we have this entire rack dedicated to them. So that's where these guys are gonna go, is underneath those 3 Barina lights. So since we are introducing these into light, I am going to water them today with bottom water, and I'm gonna be using Farmer's Pride nutrient. If you don't wanna use nutrients, that's totally cool too. It's really up to you. And because the grow medium is a little moist here, which I can tell because it's very dark in color, I'm only going to be giving it about 2/3 cup. So let me go ahead and grab that and get these guys bottom watered. We're just going to tilt that back a little bit, make sure the back ones get it, and that should be good. So from this point forward, I'm just going to check on these twice a day. I'm going to water as needed. Usually I water twice a day, but with this day, I might only water it 1 time. We'll see. But I will see you guys here in a few days whenever these have greened up, and we will do another update then. This is day 7 of our dill, and these are looking fantastic. This tray is nice and even. They're starting to green up. And basically all I'm waiting for is for them to start to get their true leaf, because they have a gorgeous true leaf. And whenever dill gets their true leaf, they do not get bitter. So that's it for today's update. I will see you guys here in a few days when there's more going on this tray. Today is day 10 for this beautiful tray of Dill Microgreens. If you look at this, the canopy is perfectly even here, and this whole tray is looking nice and full. A lot of those seed holes have come off, and we are slowly working our way towards getting that beautiful true leaf that we want to see on this crop. So I'll see you guys here in a few days for another update. Today is day 16 of our dill grow, and I'm going to pull this off the shelf because I believe today is going to be harvest day. Now, taking a look at this tray, what I'm seeing is a bunch of floofy true leaf coming up here, which is exactly what I want to see. It kind of looks like snowflakes all over the tray, and whenever dill starts to do this, this is whenever it's the perfect time to harvest this crop. So something else I want to talk about too is there's not a lot of seed holes on this. That means that we got a great germination here, and I'm very happy with how this turned out. So let's go ahead and dive into harvesting this tray. So here in front of me, I have a knife.
I said that really weird.
And it's a really sharp knife that will just glide straight through this and make this process super easy. I also have a scale over here with a bowl and a bag. You don't need all this, but if you do want to take down your data, I do suggest having a scale. So I have my whole station set up, and now it's time to start harvesting. Now, if you remember correctly, with this crop, we did not do any blackout, and you can already see how tall it is naturally. And that's why I really don't like to do blackout with dill, because otherwise it would get way too lanky. And look how beautiful that is. I love how the stem is kind of like a darker white, and it just goes all the way up into that beautiful green. And whenever you first cut into it, you get a beautiful aroma of dill. It's really nice. And personally, whenever I'm harvesting dill, I like to try to keep them all aligned with each other, just like this. So that way, if I do decide to package it, it lays out really beautifully and isn't all jumbled together.
15 minutes later.
Okie doke. So that was the last bit of harvesting. And we got 86, almost 87. It's kind of fluctuating because of the air in our grow space. So that's a really good harvest from dill since it is very light. As you can see, the little stems are very thin and coarse. So this is actually a very heavy harvest weight for this crop, and I'm extremely happy with that. And I think it's now time to move on to taste testing it. Now, since dill is more of an herb, I'm not going to taste test a ton of it because otherwise it's going to coat my mouth. But I do want to see if this has enough dill flavor to it. Definitely smells like dill. Wait a second. That has a beautiful dill taste to it. it kicks in almost right away and it still kind of lingers, but it's not overpowering, which that's perfect. This is going to go great later on some salmon or whatever I decide to use it for. The cool thing with this microgreen is it's something that if you didn't want to use it as a fresh microgreen, you could dry it and turn it into a spice. So I might do that with some of the leftovers. We'll see how much of this I end up using fresh. But either way, this turned out great. And I think that the crop overall tastes amazing, smells amazing, and looks perfect. So now that I'm done harvesting this tray, I'm just gonna take my medium here. And if it comes up a little bit, it does. Dill roots aren't as strong as some of the other crops. I'm just gonna pull all this out and I'm gonna toss this out into my compost. Clean this tray, get this tray sanitized, and then we'll bring the tray back in here. But the grow medium, I do not reuse it for microgreens. I like to reuse it in my outdoor garden because otherwise what I've noticed with the seeds is they tend to sprout up everywhere and I don't want those mixing into, say, my microgreen trays because that can get a little hectic. Well, you guys, that is it for this grow. I'm happy with how this turned out. There's really nothing that I would change about this whatsoever. We got a lot of those seed holes off and that's really due to that extended amount of wait time, which was awesome. And we did not need any blackout because otherwise, like I said, it would just be falling over all over the place. And overall, this entire grow just turned out perfect. And I hope that it turns out perfect for you too. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you dislike it, give it a thumbs down. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section down below. We'll answer those as soon as we possibly can. We also have a website that is www.onthegrow.net where we have a bunch of new stuff and some more new things coming later this week, which is kind of a secret-ish. We kind of mentioned it on our Instagram, so be sure to check that out and keep on believing. And I hope that your dill grove turns out perfectly.